Well, hi there, everybody. You're traveling with Jack, and as always, my heavenly wife, Pam. Today, our travels are taking us on what I call my grief journey. And if you're checking in on this, you're on one yourself. You've either lost a husband or a wife, or in some cases, maybe a child, maybe someone else. This is largely directed towards those who have lost a husband or wife. In my case, I lost Pam in 2019. And today's subject, though, we're talking about is, how are you doing? Boy, how many times do we hear that question? How you doing? And in my mind, I'm always thinking, do you really want to know? Or do you just want me to say, fine, thank you, and move on? It's a tough one, isn't it? Well, it's funny today, one of my best friends in life, Joe, called me. And I like the way Joe does it. He starts off usually saying how I've been thinking about me a lot today and this and that. And then he'll go, now really, how are you doing? And I know that's my cue that it's okay for me to kind of unload a little bit and share with him my real, true feelings. Because he's been a lifelong friend, and friends are important. And I always feel better after I talk to him or someone like that who's close to us. And I'm going to bet it's the same for you as well. And we'll talk about Pam. We'll talk about stories and things we did together, fun times, or little things that happened. And what it is that so many people, even some of your friends and relatives, they may ask you, how are you doing? And they really don't want to hear about it. But you know what? We can kind of guide them as well. It's not necessarily that we want to have a pity party and talk about, oh, I feel terrible, I'm sad, this and that. No. We also sometimes just want to talk about the person we lost. Make it a part of the conversation. You know, people are proud of their kids. They want to talk about their kids. And even though our loved one may have passed from this life into the next, they're still a part of our life. They were still a part of our friends' lives. So they can still be part of the conversation. Now, no, we don't want to dominate the conversation just talking about our loss and things like that. But it's okay to be part of the conversation just as much as you want to hear about their friends and their kids, their spouses and things like that, don't you? I want to try and be a good listener. So we want to be a good listener, but we also want to have our opportunity to talk as well. And I think that's kind of part of the issue, and you've all read the grief books and seen the other things on this, that people are scared to ask because they don't want to bring up the person. Well, that could not be further from the truth. We want to bring up our loved one. I love telling stories about Pam. I love telling goofy stories about me and Pam. That's fun. But to just have somebody go, how you doing? Go, fine, thank you, and move on. Well, that just makes me feel bad, because then I walk away going, I'm not sure they really even care, do they? So that can be a lesson for us as well. If we know someone who's in our particular shoes, is maybe a better way to phrase it. You know, like Joe said, we go, say I'm talking to somebody, I don't know, a fictitious name, Mary. Hi, Mary. I was thinking the other day, what's it been, about a year and a half since Bob went to heaven, and I was thinking about you guys, and I know you have to miss him a lot, and you know, what did you guys used to do that was a lot of fun for you? What did you enjoy most? And then that'll lead into a conversation, and maybe they enjoy going to the theater, which then leads into a conversation about what was your favorite play, and then you start talking about that, and it just evolves. It becomes a conversation, and that's what we all need. You know, I often say, too, when I talk about, we want to talk about our loved one who's passed away, and people are like, oh, they're afraid to bring up their name because, you know, we don't want to talk about them. It's like, my gosh, that's a sport in this country, talking about other people, isn't it? So let's just talk face to face about it. So let's keep this in mind. And maybe you're watching this video and you haven't lost a husband, wife, or God forbid, a child. And maybe this helps you too in understanding how to approach someone who's lost a spouse or a loved one. A better way to position the questions. Now, if you don't have time to talk to them, well, then just move on. Just say hi and keep walking, okay? But don't ask us, how are you doing? Unless you really want to know. It takes me back to that movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Hopefully some of you saw it. It's where he's reliving the same day over and over. And sometimes our grief journey can feel that way. But there is one particular scene in the movie. And you know, I'm a weather guy. I don't know, some of you may or may not know, I'm a TV weather guy. And this guy walks up to him on the street and he goes, so how's the weather? And Bill Murray's like, oh. And he goes into this big long explanation about the weather. And then he goes, oh, I'm sorry. Did you really not want to know about how the weather is and how we came about this forecast? It was a little rude in that instance, but I get what he's saying. And so I hope that resonates with you as well. So let's open up the conversations. Let's talk about our loved ones. Let's let them be still somewhat part of our life, because they always will be. It's kind of like, I've heard a lot of pro athletes talk about that after they retire from their particular sport, it's not the sport that they miss, it's the camaraderie and the conversations that they had that they miss. And I think that's what oftentimes we miss. If we're in a group and everybody's chit-chatting and talking and all, and everybody's walking on eggshells, oh, don't bring up Jane, don't bring up Pam, don't bring up Bob, they're dead. No, we want to talk about them. So don't be afraid, okay? I don't know if this helps you at all. As I've always told you, it helps me to talk to you. It really does. And I appreciate you checking in. And I always ask you to be sure to subscribe to our channel, Traveling with Jack and Pam. I've also got cooking demonstrations, restaurant reviews, and I've got travel videos. There's 3 different playlists, and you can click on the one playlist that just has about my grief journey if you want to. And I've got a lot of videos there as well as I continue to walk the same road with you. It's a bumpy, bumpy road. We know that. The road sucks. I told somebody the other day too, the thing about this club that we're all in together now is it's a crappy club because the cost of admission is far, far too high. So we always want to think about, yeah, it's an expensive club, isn't it? Thanks again for joining me. Look forward to talking to you again. Bye now.